So as I mentioned in the last video, we're going to have two classes here. So I'm going to start by creating the files for those classes in the classes folder. And so I'm going to create a file. So I'm going to have site.php and I'm going to have page.php. So site is going to be my class for creating a new website or a new site, essentially a new site object, and page is going to be to create a new page. So now we're going to go back to the site folder and start editing the index.php folder file. Sorry. Great, and there it is. Empty file, of course, at the moment. So let's get rid of FireFTP because we no longer need that. And here's our Chrome. Let's just position that there. You can see I've got the oopcourse.com temporary URL here, and then I've added the site folder, site subfolder there. Okay. I always like to just start off and make sure that everything's working fine. So I'm just put a test in there and then refresh that. Excellent. So I've got my development environment set up nicely here. So let's create some PHP. And I'm going to start by using the autoload function to automatically bring in the scripts for the classes as we define them. Because the last thing you want is to have 50 include lines in your code which bring in each file as you need it. And that could bring in a lot of unnecessary classes that you don't need for a particular page, and it means you need to add a line of code each time you add a file. So the autoload magic method is fantastically useful here for saving us work. So very straightforward. We use function and then remember double underscore autoload, just like that. And as you'll remember, autoload automatically takes the class name when we bring it in, and all we need to do is tell PHP what our file and folder structure is so that it knows where to find the classes. So we want to include, remember we've put everything in the classes folder, so then class.php. So just having a quick look at that. So that will include the classes folder, and then the file name will be whatever the class is. So we'll have to make sure that we call the site.php class site and the page.php class page. I'm sure we'll be able to do that. Okay, so let's now switch back over and just edit one of those classes to make sure that everything's working. So I'll now edit page. I'm going to bring this over so we've got a bit more room there. We don't need much of Chrome at the moment. So we've got index.php and page.php. So once again, I need to start off at PHP. I'm going to pause briefly. All I want you to do is to create a page class here, which doesn't need to do anything at all. Just create an empty page class that we can use to check that our autoload function is working okay. I hope you managed that. All we need to do is class page and then open and close. That's it. So now, if we switch back to index.php, after our autoload function, we should just be able to create a new page object and then var dump that object, and we should get something on the screen, and that'll just tell us that the autoload function is working fine. So again, a few moments for you to pause the video and try that for yourself. Okay, I hope you managed it. What I'm going to do is we'll have a page variable and we'll say it's a new page. Simple as that. And then var dump page. Okay, I'm going to save that. Save page.php, switch over to the browser, hold my breath, and fantastic. That all worked fine. So you can see our autoload must be bringing in our class because it's defined a new object there. It's of course an empty page at the moment, but that's great. It means that everything's working okay. Let's quickly do the same thing for site.php. So I'm going to edit that one now and You can do this yourself, but I'll just quickly define a class called site. And then we'll do the same thing here. Make sure everything's okay. So we'll have a site, which is going to be a new site. And then we'll dump the variable. There we go. Fantastic. So both of my classes are being imported automatically, and they're working nicely. So you can see already this is a really handy way of doing things, especially once you've got this template up and running. You can just edit these files and you can create a new file here, and it will just be imported automatically. And I think that's almost a reason to do it on its own. This auto load function means that you can just add classes and bring them in exactly when you need them without having to do a manual include. Is a fantastically useful way of coding a site. Great, so we've got our basic structure there up and running. Now we just want to add some headers and footers. It's going to be the first thing that we do, and we'll do that in the next video.